right, take two. Let's see if we can get this done for today. So, where to start off with? I never intended this channel to get like any views or to have any success. Like, that's not why I was doing it. So, like 109 people, that's awesome. I want to acknowledge it, but like, I don't know. I wasn't expecting to put any effort out, and I'm, like my old drill sergeant, I'm gonna have to put some effort out. So anyway, to start off with, like what the pre-bye weeks phase is, it's like the arms race. You just want to be stashing guys on the bottom of your bench. You shouldn't be messing with your lineup almost at all. You've already paid the capital for those guys. Like, we could make a comment about the military-industrial complex, but like you should just be stashing guys on the bottom of your bench. Don't mess with your lineup. We don't know what's going on. This is only after week one, unless you had some type of catastrophic injury to a guy that you paid draft capital for. You should just be playing the guys that you have. Like when we get into the post bye week phase, that's the Cold War. That's where your weapons that you stashed matter to your lineup. Right now, like the main thing is to focus on winning weeks and not get cute. Like we're gonna talk about buy low, sell high later on, and our benches. But like our high capital players are the guys that we invested in. They're the guys that we're supposed to believe in, and those are the guys that we should be playing. It's a different conversation about a guy that you drafted that like you didn't like when you drafted him and you don't like him now. Like that's a different conversation, because if you don't like the player, don't play the player. Even if you took the best available and you didn't like the guy, like that's a different conversation. There's no reason to overthink it. Don't be I have them pulled up here. Don't be Ruxin from the league. Don't overthink it. Don't take fantasy too seriously. Just you make the smart play. Try and win the weeks. It's not the point to overthink anything at this point. And that's a big problem of mine too. And that's like my co-manager my co-managers helped reel me in. Like we had a conversation today about one trade that we tried to make, and he's like, how does this help us win? Are you being cute? And I said, no, like it's a bench trade. Like it doesn't make a difference whether we make it or not today. And in my other league, I'll talk about Gardner Minshew later on down the line. Because I really like Gardner Minshew as a player, and I tried to make him our fantasy starting quarterback a couple years ago, and my league manager was finally like, no. And luckily Gardner Minshew got hurt, but I was like, oh, he's going to be the guy with a little bit of rushing upside if he takes that current corner. Like that's just how I am. I like having fun with players. There's a reason why like Kenny Pickett started the season as my starting quarterback. I drafted really well. I could take a chance on him because I like him as a prospect and a player. So, and it's the same reason, like if you like Roshan Johnson, even though the tea leaves to me say, he's got a long road to being a league winner. If you like the guy, put him on your bench. Like it's the arm race. We want to see how the next 3, 4, 5 weeks shake out so we can get into the Cold War. Right. So to get an idea of this, like I have Darren Waller put up here. I have him in a couple of my leagues. He looked like he was going to have a sneaky possibility of being an elite tight end for not having to pay the price. He's had some hamstring issues. The Giants offense may not take the step forward that we want. They may take the step back. There's no reason to get concerned about it after week one, but this is something to monitor on. And it's something that I'm already so worried about that, like, if I get an offer, and I've already got a couple offers on him, and it's the right offer, we'll just move. I'll take the offer and I'll go, because again, it's an arms race. I've already stashed like guys like Musgrave and Kincaid and Jake Ferguson, and I can just replace him, because I can do a trade where I send Waller and AJ Brown, a Waller AJ Brown offer to a Justin Jefferson owner, and he has to think about it if he's got a hole at tight end. Right. And the only reason why I keep bringing up Justin Jefferson is he's the wide receiver one. That's the goal. The goal is not to get a sub elite player. It's to get an elite player to give us the best probability of winning or getting into the playoffs and winning the league. So like, again, don't get cute. You paid for a guy, use that guy, and we can move forward. Right. Because there is a degree of it's fun to kind of overthink things, but like right now, that's not the phase of fantasy football that we're in. Right. So anyway, moving forward, as you can just stare at, good old Gardner Minshew up there the whole time from this point on, unless I need to pull something else up. We'll get into, the news and notes here in a second. So the big things to look at while we're waiting for actives tomorrow is Puka Nacua. The Rams elevated Austin Trammell, a wide receiver. That's kind of not a good sign that they're expecting Puka Nacua to play tomorrow. Even though the tea leaves are saying that he is, there's no rumor saying he's not going to play. A guy being elevated means that there's a move being done for a reason. Same thing that we look at with like Devin A-Chain. Like if he's not active, there's no reason to stash him. If he is active, like stash him to see what his usage is like, and they're already showing that like he doesn't have a special teams role. So if they're going to activate him, he's going to get an opportunity more than likely. Other news is Amari Cooper came up with a groin today. If Elijah Moore is not rostered in your league, he should be rostered. He should have been rostered in the first place, but Elijah Moore, Austin Eckler was ruled out. What this means for Josh Kelly, if you got Josh Kelly, is the Titans D will just take away the run. That's how Mike Vrabel has designed them as a defense. They're going to make the Chargers throw. This means that like Josh Kelly's efficiency is probably going to be down, but because they're going to be throwing, that means a lot of against a bad secondary. That means that a lot of opportunities to get into the red zone, which means Josh Kelly could fall into the end zone, which means RB2 flex outcome. Obviously, who knows how much he's going to be used in the passing game, but like RB2 flex outcome is well within the range of possibilities, if not higher. Kendre Miller, it may or may not get his first action for the Saints. Again, this is the type of thing that we would normally want to be stashing a guy at the bottom of the bench, but with Alvin Kamara coming off suspension here in a second, like I don't know what to do with him. But if you're interested, it is something to be paying attention to. Royce Freeman got elevated from the Rams practice squad. I would say the tea leaves are saying that they're done with Cam Akers. Royce Freeman can play special teams. It's another good sign that Kyron Williams is the lead back for the Rams. So when we look at like ESPN rankings, and I use ESPN because obviously like I don't have ESPN in any of my leagues. The only problem with like Cam Akers probably shouldn't even be like running back 34. Kyron Williams, the only reason why he should be ranked that low is because they're playing the 49ers. And I don't know how much he's supposed to be a receiving back, but who knows? Anyway, moving forward at my notes, LaMichael P. Ryan got elevated by the Chiefs. CEH missed the end of this week with an illness. Not a good sign. He was trending up as a potential stash, but now like this might even hurt any fantasy relevance that he has going on. Deontay Johnson was ruled out with a hamstring. That's not particularly like, oh my God, surprising. George Pickens was limited with a hamstring. Now maybe the time to start just getting away from all Steelers players. Like who knows? They're no longer the darlings of the offseason. I don't want to stare at Miller Lite ads. So like if you're wondering, you have Calvin Austin, you have Allen Robinson. I'm a little bit more interested in Allen Robinson. Some people are talking about Calvin Austin. I'm just probably done at this point already after week one. Melvin Gordon was elevated by the Ravens. This is a pretty good indication because he ain't going to play special teams. This is a pretty good indication they don't trust their backfield. Gus Bus and Justice Hill. The Packers elevated Patrick Taylor, not surprising with Aaron Jones' hamstring injury. If you got A.J. Dillon, you're rolling A.J. Dillon. But those are just kind of my news and notes coming in right now. Remember, going back to Don't Get Cute, it's only been 1 week. Teams that we thought were good are going to be bad, and then offenses that we thought were bad are going to be good. Like we have the Rams last year, we have the Seahawks last year. The Seahawks maybe this year's Rams. Like who knows? And trying to take a 1 week sample size is not a very good idea. Remember last year that like Dak Prescott broke his thumb. The Bucks got their teeth kicked in by, the Cowboys got their teeth kicked in by the Bucks. Everybody was saying sell CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb finishes wide receiver 7, and he finishes wide receiver 7 despite the fact that the Cowboys did not need him to win games because they were good enough to like win without CeeDee Lamb putting up like Justin Jefferson numbers. So like, trying to guess, where guys are going to be after the first week of the season. Like, who knows? We're in an arms race. We're not in the Cold War yet. I'm going to keep repeating that. I'm an old football coach. Something I've learned over the years is I will always choose good football players over good athletes. And good football players will tend to find a way. Good coaching will tend to find a way to use good football players. Bad coaches will try and get the ball to good athletes. Like that's just the way it goes. To continue on this little tirade about like the Cold War and the arms race, like we're not benching Bengals players. We're not trading Bengals players after week 1. I already talked about Dallas getting their teeth kicked in. I'm reading my notes right now. Like the other thing to understand about like what people are and aren't talking about, how we're a social creature, a contractual creature. Like, don't get caught up in that stuff. That stuff of the gossip at the water cooler. No one's talking about trading the Bengals players, and I will say that if Dallas is that good of a team, if their defense is that good, you should be trading Dak. You should be trading CeeDee Lamb. You should be trading Tony Pollard, because they're just not going to need them to win games, and that means they're not going to put up as many points. As I said before, good offense, bad defense, playing a good offense with a bad defense is the Rosetta Stone for fantasy football, right? So like, otherwise, if guys are just going to give you 40-degree days, you're not going to win championships. You might make playoffs, you're not going to win championships. So like if guys like CeeDee Lamb are going to have 40-degree days because the Dallas defense is so good, like you should be getting out from under them in the same way that people are worried about Garrett Wilson. And to go on, because I have this written down here about like Garrett Wilson, like Aaron Rodgers doesn't like motion and shifts. And we saw on Thursday night the Vikings used motion and shifts to get Justin Jefferson open against a good Philadelphia defense. Justin Jefferson went for like 11 catches on 13 targets for 159 yards. And I don't have that written down. This is off the top of my head. So anyway, they did that because they were moving him around the formation, because that's good coaching. So if the Jets can't coach their way out of a brown paper bag to make Zach Wilson be able to get the football to Garrett Wilson, yeah, you should be getting away from Garrett Wilson, because the Jets are bad, because the coaches are bad. It has nothing to do with Zach Wilson. A good coach can make certain players better than they are. We've seen it before in the NFL. So anyway, like Kellen Moore made Cooper Rush keep CeeDee Lamb relevant last year after Dak Prescott got knocked out. Kellen Moore is now with the Chargers. The Chargers played the Dolphins week 1. The Dolphins dared the Chargers to run the football, and the Chargers put up 200 yards rushing, because that's what a good coach does, right? He gets the ball to his best players, and he takes what's given to him. So anyway, some of the things that we already can guess on from last year to this year is Josh Allen is a turnover machine, because we already saw that last year. Like we can say that Zach Wilson is bad at football. We could probably even guess that if he goes and gets his teeth kicked in by a really good Dallas defense. But we also know that the Eagles are cute on offense, and no one's telling you to sell the Eagles players except for me. But anyway, like I'm just saying, like, it's week 1. Don't get cute. Play your capital. Don't overthink it, right? How many weeks will it take you to trust a player, and how many weeks does it take you to lose trust in them? Like that's what you're getting at. If you just picked up Puka Nacua and you believe that he's going to give you 15 targets a week, he should be in your lineup, and we shouldn't be having these conversations. If you think that he's a guy that you need to wait and see on, and he blows up, you're going to be leaving points on your bench, waiting for you to gain trust in him. And by then, all those points, you're never going to get them back. You're never going to win those weeks. And more importantly, those weeks don't grow on trees, right? So like, play who you think are your best players. And again, it's not just about surviving the bye weeks that are coming up. It's easier because you've been stashing those guys on your bench. Like, we can worry about those lineup problems later on when we get to the bye weeks, because that's what the bye weeks cause is lineup problems, right? Right now, win your weeks. Don't overthink it. Use your capital and move forward. That's how you get into playoffs. You win playoffs. You win your boat by putting together these monster teams, because you've won the arms race, right? And we can talk about that once we get into in a couple of weeks when we start talking about how to make trades, because like it just isn't some leagues it's never going to be a thing. Trades just aren't things in certain leagues. In other leagues, like, trades are all over the place. But it's not the time to do that because you don't know what you have and they don't know what they have, and you're just as likely to lose a trade as they are to win a trade because you're flipping coins, right? We'll get to that point of trades and better lineups. And the last thing to say this week, and hopefully this is relatively short on my second take, is have fun. Like, fantasy is supposed to be fun. It shouldn't be stressing you out. Like, I don't put out a lot of effort into fantasy football anymore because I already have my process. Like I've won my leagues. I enjoy it. Like, I get to spend time with my co-managers, they're friends of mine. That's why I do fantasy football. Like, like I let my co-managers worry about who they think the winner is. Like they tell me not to be cute. They say I like this guy. That's cute. Usually who we go with. The only time I'll just be. They know when it comes down to it, I'll be like, well, like this is why I don't think Roshan is a league winner, and I'll explain it to him. That's why they said do the channel, right? I like to play the guy who's fun. That's why I said, like, showing as you stare at Darren Waller, who may be a bust this year, and Gardner Minshew. I've started Gardner Minshew before. I will start Gardner Minshew again. I would love to win a league championship with Gardner Minshew as my starting quarterback. But again, like we're taking the news that we got. We're stashing the players based off of what tomorrow's actives and inactives are going to be. It's an arms race. We're trying to win the arms race so we can win the Cold War, so we can win the ship. And like that's the plan right now. So anyway, that's about all I got for today. And the last thing is, if you made it this far, I tend to not check social media because like I don't think it's healthy. So like I've been trying to, even though this channel's been doing good, better than I ever thought it was going to be, I might not even check anything again until Monday morning because like I just let it go and try not to over stress on everything because I have the personality to overthink everything. So like if you ask me questions or do anything like that, like I might not know anything about it until Monday. I'll try and check stuff later on this evening because there are a lot of people that are watching this for some god awful reason. So anyway, like I said, I'll probably talk to you guys on Monday.